Hey everyone, welcome into the ADN studio. The first month of conference play is coming to an end. For those of you diehards that tuned in on Mondays with Mike O'Donnell and myself, we welcome you back and appreciate you taking a timeout from your Tuesday to listen in to some of the hot topics in the American. Mike, great to have you back. It feels like it's been forever.
Different day of the week, but I like Tuesdays just as good as Monday, and we're talking college hoops, so it's all good.
We're going to make Tuesdays count, and one of the stories that has dominated the headlines this season has been some of the rookies in the American. Mike, first of all, for a rookie to not only adjust to the college game, but to play as though they've been in this league for a long time, how difficult is that?
Pretty spectacular. It's really very difficult to kind of place yourself into a situation that you've never been before. You're trying to fight for playing time. You're coming usually from a program in which you were the top guy. You were the best player on the team. You were the highest scorer. You were the leader. You're entering into as almost a child into a program of a grown man's league. And it's adult league basketball. This is not YMCA kids basketball, high school and AAU. So for some of these freshmen playing not just great in the American Conference, or some of the top freshmen in the country, just speaks to the talent and the preparation, the mindset for some of these freshmen coming in. And you also have to understand that your head coach must have faith in the freshmen to put them in those scenarios as well. So it goes hand in hand. You have to have a coach that trusts his player, and you have to have a freshman that trusts his coach to put them in the right scenarios to be successful.
One of the rookies that has stood out is Memphis guard Tyler Harris. He's a hometown kid from Memphis that started the season off right for Penny Hardaway. In fact, he's leading his team in three-point shots he has more than double than anybody else on his team. Why is he somebody that is catching attention so early?
Yeah, small in stature, only 5'9", but big on game. He's been spectacular as a freshman for the Memphis Tigers. I mean, really, he came in with so much hype. He was one of the top high school seniors coming out of the state of Tennessee. He was one of the top-ranked players. He was a Tennessee Mr. Basketball, and honestly, he's come in and played great. He's trying to find his groove. He's spent some time in the starting lineup, some time coming off the bench, but he's been really great all year long, averaging almost 13 points a game. He puts so much pressure on opposing defenses because he always seems to be in attack mode. He hits threes, like you said, Haley, almost 3 3-pointers a game and shoots 87% from the free throw line. And when you combine his speed with his ability to get hot from the three-point line, you will easily see why Tyler Harris will be in the running for Freshman of the Year in the American Conference.
Another freshman that has been sweeping the headlines comes from USF, and it's forward Alexis Yetna. He's one of 20 players in the country averaging a double-double per game. What has allowed him to be so dominant in a number of ways?
Well, you mentioned it, Haley. Those 12 double-doubles, that's not great for an individual. That's more than Houston, Wichita State, and UConn combined as a team. That's how many double-doubles he has. That's a big deal. What that means is he's just relentless. He has incredible effort, energy every time he steps foot on the floor, and his skill set is only getting better. You said it, he is a double-double machine. He leads the American Conference in double-doubles. And he leads the American in rebounding, which is good for top 20 in the country as a freshman. And the scary thing is that he's also a very capable three-point shooter. He shoots 40% from the three-point line, so he can take you inside and he can take you outside. Coach Brian Gregory told me personally that Yetna is just scratching the surface on how great he can be. When his skill set catches up to his motor, Alexis Yetna will become one of the best power forwards in the country.
The last freshman we're going to take a look at is ECU forward Jaden Gardner. Mike, he leads the conference in scoring, and he's second in the conference in rebounding. Why is Gardner causing such havoc for opposing teams?
Oh, my gosh, he's just a mismatch nightmare. We just talked about how good Alexis Yetna was. And really, as a freshman, Jaden Gardner from your alma mater, Haley, East Carolina, it's not just his rebounding. The way that he's scoring, it's incredible. And if you're just taking stats alone, Jaden Gardner is not up for Freshman Player of the Year. He could be up for Conference Player of the Year. The only reason why he may not get as much consideration as I think you may realize is because East Carolina just needs to win more games. You need to see ECU win more for Jaden Gardner to be in that legitimate conversation. But if you're just taking stats alone, you said them earlier, Haley, he leads the conference in scoring as a freshman. He's second in rebounding. That's incredible. He's got this beautiful old man's game to him. I love him. That's why he's a nightmare for opposing front court players. He has this incredible knack for getting to the free throw line. He gets fouled a ton. And Jaden Gardner will be one of those players who will leave a legacy at East Carolina because, honestly, he's just getting started.
Memphis, USF, ECU, all with bright futures ahead as they look to continue building their programs. But early on, Mike, who is your Rookie of the Year at this point in the season?
Yeah, it's Jaden Gardner. He's just putting up monster numbers on the offensive end. You're leading the conference in scoring as a freshman, and you're doing it in unorthodox ways. He's not shooting a ton of three-pointers. He shoots a bunch of 15-foot jumpers, and he gets to the free throw line a lot. Just from a production standpoint, it's Jaden Gardner for me, followed closely by Alexis Yetna. But there is plenty of conference play left to be had, and if Tyler Harris gets hot, he goes on a tear, there's no question he's going to be in that conversation as well.
Speaking of conference play, we have a handful of exciting games on the slate this week across the American, starting off on Wednesday night. Mike, I know you had SMU and Wichita State circled on your calendar. Why does that game stand out to you?
Yeah, you may not think that's a really important game, but I'm so excited about watching this matchup. I think the Mustangs are one of the most underrated teams in the American Conference, and they faced a Wichita State team that plays incredible at home. They're 6-3 at home, and they just came off a big win versus UCF. But SMU playing good ball. Jeray Foster is healthy, and Jamal McMurray is one of the most lethal scorers in the American Conference. This is a trap game for SMU. If you look on paper, you don't think Wichita State's very, very good, but don't say that to UCF, who tried to go into the Shockers' home court, and they got really manhandled by Wichita State. They are very, very good defensively at home, so SMU will need to be very careful rolling into Wichita.
All right. In the state of Texas, Thursday night, one that the conference will definitely be keeping an eye on is Temple at Houston. The Cougs ranked 13th in the country this week, and the Owls handed Houston their first and only loss so far this season. How electric do you anticipate this matchup to be?
Should be insane. It better be crazy at the Fertitta Center. I mean, that's your only loss of the year. That's keeping Houston being out of perfection. The Cougars are the first team in the country to reach 20 wins. So congratulations to Houston. And it's really a matchup of almost opposing styles in some sense. Houston is such a great defensive team. It's not just in the American Conference. The way they rebound and defend the half court, they're one of the top defensive teams in the nation. But you face a Temple team who is very good on the offensive end. And Temple can absolutely steal another win versus Houston, but it's going to be a hostile environment. There's no question. The Owls will have to find ways to manufacture points whenever they can. But the Cougars, for them to win, they have to value each possession. That's a big deal. Temple is the best steal team in the American Conference, and they are at their best when they turn you over and then create easy fast break points. You have Shiz Alston, Quentin Rose versus Corey Davis and Armani Brooks. That is a matchup that I'm going to be watching.
Let's look ahead to Saturday. Now, two of your top freshmen in this conference, Tyler Harris from Memphis and Alexis Yetna from USF. They're going to square off on Saturday. What do you expect to learn in this matchup between the Tigers and the Bulls?
It's an interesting matchup. It's very like square peg and round hole. You have Memphis, who wants to press, run, turn you over, get easy buckets, make the game really fast. And then you have South Florida, who wants to slow it down, be patient, grind it out in the half court. Two really interesting matchups that I'm looking forward to are LaQuincy Rideau and Jeremiah Martin, two of the best, not just guards in the American Conference. Those are two of the best defenders in the nation, both some of the top steal men in the country. And then you have Alexis Yetna, we talked about earlier, the incredible freshman for South Florida, versus Kevon Davenport, who's one of the most underrated power forwards in the American Conference. If South Florida can be patient and they don't turn the ball over, they're going to be just fine this matchup. But conversely, Memphis, they want to turn South Florida over. And quite honestly, this game really favors Memphis because South Florida has the worst turnover margin in the American Conference. So if Memphis can run and press and turn South Florida over, that will really impose their will on top of South Florida. I think Memphis, if they can turn the Bulls over, will have a really good shot of winning against South Florida.
All right, Mike. Well, it is great to have you back here in the studio, and we thank you all at home for tuning into our debut of Timeout Tuesday. We're looking forward to breaking down hoops the rest of the way leading up to the conference championship in March. We'll see you back here next week.